Okay, so I'm live on the other channel. I mean on the other device. So Cynthia, jump over to come out and then click on the other device because I'm gonna end this one and I will see you soon. Okay, thank you. Come on, log into the other device. I mean log into the other live. Come into the other live. In this one. See if the sound is gonna work here. Welcome, welcome. This is April Showers. Welcome into the channel. Good morning. Be sure to subscribe, like the video as you're coming in. We are following the closing arguments for the Puffy trial and seeing what it is because we know that we're right about everything that we've been talking about. So let's get out of this. Let me make sure that my sound is okay. Switch. All right. And while I'm getting everything set up, I'm going to go into this information so we don't miss anything. We don't get too far behind. Let's refresh the screen. We don't want to get too far behind. All right. One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. Let's see. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, we got it. We're in there. All right, we're in there. We're in there. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, we got it. We're in there. All right, we're in there. We're in there. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, we got it. We're in there. All right, we're in there. We're in there. Now I need to turn this off so we can stop sounding a mess. So we need to come out of this. All right, good. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to go in here and get this started following this case. Let me see if I can bring this up some, this chair. Everybody ready? We're going to follow this. Get ready. We're going to follow this, see what's going on in this trial this morning. Come on in. Please like the video as you're coming in and be sure to subscribe so we can get into this. Thank you for coming. Everybody's welcome. Come on in. Come on in. Let's see what's going on. All right, everybody, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Just thumbs up the video. Thank you for coming. Nathaniel, what's up? How you doing? Okay, so let's see. Okay, okay. All right, everybody ready? Everybody following the trial, and let's see what's going on from the trenches. We are from the trenches. Remember, this is family. Everybody's welcome. All opinions are welcome. It's just like a family reunion. We may not have all the same opinion, but we're still family. So everybody's welcome. Everybody's opinion is welcome. We know some of us, we are like, what? Why y'all have Puffy in prison for all this time? No bail for what? For domestic violence? Because he hasn't even been charged with the domestic violence. But that's what we know. We know that there's domestic violence, but we're like, what? Federal charges of what? All this racketeering? He forced what? He did this? We haven't. Some of us feel like we haven't heard this yet. But then there are some of us that's like, oh, he needs to burn in jail, burn in hell, go away for life. So yeah. So this is all. So all opinions are welcome. Everybody have their own opinion. That is so understandable because we're all different. We all have led different walks of life, so it's understandable. So what may be normal to some of us may be crazy to others. That's fine. We're still a family. So come on in, have a seat. And let's get your drinks, get your whatever you like to drink on in the morning, and let's get it together. Some of you may be at work, so I got you. I'm going to relay everything to you on what's going on. So just get comfortable, do your work. I got you. And we're going to get started. Let's go in here. Let's see if they've gotten started. I don't think they have because I've been seeing a lot of the news media is that's allowed to go into the courtroom. They've been outside of the courtroom. I haven't seen anybody go in yet. But let's get it. All right, let's see. Live updates. By the way, for those of you who may not know, I am April Showers, and I'm here to bring you tea. All right. All right. So depend on me. I got you. Like the video, and let's get into it. And I'm just getting set up, y'all. So yeah. All right. So I'm just getting to here. So yeah, I've been following. Have you all been listening to the last few days of this trial? Have you been listening to the last few days and what has happened? There's been charges dropped and all of that. Now, in my opinion, now again, we all have our own opinion. In my opinion, that is cause for a mistrial. Now you got the jury like, what? How can you drop charges right in the middle of a case? In the middle of a trial, a hearing. The hearing has already happened. So if you don't have enough evidence and you can just pick out the ones that you want to drop, the charges that you want to drop, isn't that crazy? Like, that means a mistrial. That means no, he should be acquitted. That means let him go home because that means you didn't have the evidence. So that's a not guilty. How could you just drop charges the day before closing arguments? Yeah, that's crazy. I'm telling you, the justice system is set up against the people. It's really, if you look at and just look at that situation, whether you like Puffy or not, just look at that. Imagine you were in that situation. You're being tried and your life was on the line. And then the prosecution drops charges the day before closing arguments because they didn't provide enough evidence for these particular charges. Imagine how you would feel or your family would feel. That's crazy, right? Yeah, put yourself in the shoes. So, all right. Okay, this is not a good one right here. Let me see. I'm gonna go up here. Okay, so let's see. Now my right hand man be on it. My right hand man right here. What? Y'all, I know I haven't missed that much of it. Now I'm just looking stupid. If I've missed the whole closing art, okay, this is crazy. I just heard something weird. I just read something weird. commentators are too biased. It's good to have you like I have my opinion. Everybody knows my opinion. I'm like, what? But I don't like when people are just badging and making stuff up. Like I don't like that. So um all right, let's see. Where is the guy? My guy that I rely on. Let's see. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I got you. I got you. Hold on. Keep working. Don't worry. I got you. Keep working. Take care of your business at work. I got you. Don't worry. I'll get us up to date. Don't worry. We got it. All right, give me a moment. Don't worry. I got you. I got you. I got you. So yeah, today is closing arguments. All right, so today's the 26th. So they threw out the arson charge also. That's something, remember, the arson has to do with one of the federal charges. It has to be connected with an arson charge as well. So they dropped that. Remember that. All right. I know I'm all over, I have ADHD. I'm all over the place, but don't worry, I'll get to it. I'm just trying to find the right and most recent updated information so we can be on point and not be behind everybody. Okay. Just got a message in regards to my work as well. I'm not going to interrupt myself though, because this is what I've taken the time out for this in particular. So we're just going to keep it moving. All right. Hmm. Okay. It's the 26th. So what's up? All right. That's cool. Don't worry. I got you. I got you. You know, I surely wish this was televised. Oh my God. We be playing it. Yeah, we be playing it because us here in April Showers land, April TCG fam, we don't have much to lose, so we would be playing it if it was televised. Trust me. Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's see. All right, let's say live. Yeah, right here. All right, let's see. Let's see. Now this says begin. Okay, so before we get started, what's up, John? How you doing? Okay, so before we get started, I do want to say that some information that we discuss may contain graphic descriptions and all of that. So this chat is for 18 years or older. So keep that in mind. Everybody, if you don't mind just liking the video, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. And we are following the Puff Daddy trial. Today are closing arguments, supposedly. Let's see. Have you all noticed following this trial, not gossip though? Okay, so yeah, not gossip. We're going off of factual information. And like I was saying earlier, if you missed it, John, all opinions are welcome. Some of us are like, hey, where the chart? Come on, prove your evidence. We haven't seen it yet. Then some of us are like, Puffy needs to go into the prison. So everybody's welcome. All opinions are welcome. I have my opinion. If you've been following me, you know my opinion, you know. But yeah, everybody's welcome. We're going off of factual information because that's how we do and where in the trenches. We go off of the facts. So that's what we're doing. Now, again, my opinion, I don't think that this man is guilty of these federal crimes. I know that he's an abusive boyfriend. I know that he is a person that has made a lot of money, and money means power to him, and power to him means running everybody, treating them like shit. I understand that. You do? Okay, so yeah. So yeah, John. Yeah. Okay. Right? Yeah, I think what happened with just speaking away from the trial. Now this doesn't have anything to do with the legal stuff, but just based on what you're talking about, like where Puffy started with these parties, I think that because everybody hyped him up, like, oh, Puffy throws the best parties, the tunnel, all that stuff, right? I think that Puffy, it kind of went to his head. You know, when you're like, when somebody says, oh, you did a great job, oh, what, right? And but say if you put your best into it, right? You put your best into it, and everybody's praising you. You got to top that, right? You got to top that. So you're like, okay, you don't want to stay on the same level. You want to top that. So I think that things just went to his head because he went way overboard. But I think he was trying to just stay because I heard that the parties in the Hamptons, Trump was on the list at the party. This was way before presidency and all that. Right. Okay, John. See, I told you. That's what I've been telling people. It really depends on uh what you feel is normal or abnormal because we all have led different lifestyles. We all have walked different lives. And a lot of stuff that I've heard is like, don't they do that every Super Bowl party? You go out and get, 250 a head, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay. But then some people are like, oh, this is some people are finding all this stuff very offensive. So it really depends on how you view stuff, Now I'm not condoning any type of physical abuse or anything like that. Consenting adults. That's exactly what I feel. Consenting adults. I feel like I haven't heard anybody say, um, he put a gun to my head and made me do this, do this. I have heard people say, yeah, I was working for him and he pressured me into saying, if you don't work, you're gonna get fired, or if you don't do this, we can't be together anymore. Cynthia, you're back, girl. Thank you. Come back in. Come on back. So yeah, I've heard all this stuff, but I have not heard no, I put a gun to his head and we want to, get to this, or I'm going to kill you if you don't do this, or I haven't heard anything about no underage children, by the way. That's people have that out there in the wilderness about some underage children, which I would never condone or support. And we haven't heard anything come out about no underage children, period. So, yes, what is going on here? Because we would never condone that, of course. This man has been in prison since, or jail since September, guys. September, no bail. And then they dropped some charges the other night. Play the what? Cuck? What's that? John, what's the cuck? Thank you for subscribing, Cynthia. I appreciate it, sweetheart. What's the cuck? All right, let's see. Oh, this is over. I'm sitting there watching, listening to something. Okay. All right. You know, I usually follow CNN's live updates, and for some reason this morning they're not doing their thing. I don't know what's going on. So I'm looking for a different avenue. But don't worry, those of you who are at work, I got you. I got you. We're gonna we're gonna get this information to you. Don't worry. I got you. You know what? The closing arguments with people like on what's this one guy is on Twitter, and so they're like putting information piece by piece out. Like it's gonna be hard for those of us who is not in the courtroom to get this information correctly. Don't worry, I'm just listening. Everything that I'm hearing that's important, I'm gonna disseminate it to you. So, and see, the thing is, when those of us who are listening to other people who comes out and disseminate their information, some people put too much of their opinion in it, so we gotta like go around their opinionated statements, you know. And we only want the facts because we're from the trenches, and that's what we do. We want the facts or the alleged facts. How about that? Because we haven't heard from Puffy, so yeah, I'm not listening to that right there. Okay, so I don't think they've started yet because no one is got some closing arguments updated. Mm-mm-mm. I will say this now, because I mean, in my opinion, I feel y'all know how I feel. I feel like Puffy honestly is going to be let out of this stuff, and because I just don't see the evidence being proven of these federal charges. But one thing is for certain. Okay, so they're going over jury instructions. But yeah, there's a lot of personal information that's come out, Puff Daddy. We know all your personal, we know all your juicy business. We know what you're do. Do not disturb. Sorry about that. But yeah, we know all Puff Daddy's business, right? Um, okay. All right, so that's turned on. So don't worry, no more interruptions. That's turned on. But yeah, we know all Puff Daddy's business. We know that he likes to order people. You're gonna have when Puff Daddy come out, you're gonna have all these, male strippers that they strippers want to make money, right? That's their goal, is to make money. So you're gonna have all of them like trying to contact Puff Daddy and his people. They're gonna be like, "Oh, I hope Puff Daddy picked me." Because if you notice, like all the stuff that's been said in the courtroom, Puff Daddy, I mean, the strippers didn't have to do nothing but deal with the females. They really didn't. They didn't have to deal with the other stuff. So, like. And that's another thing too. If you listen to what these strippers say that they had to do. They said that he watched, you understand? It's like menage a trois, but on this, it wasn't, you didn't hear like all this gay stuff either. Honestly, I mean, now that could be very subjective, but I mean, I have, I've seen like menage a trois, well, excuse me, not have seen, but I have seen on in this courtroom the menage a trois, the kind of menage a trois that he likes are like where he likes to look. And I think because of the rumor or what they said allegedly that he's not well endured, and I think that he might, he likes to see the females being pleasured in a different way because he can't produce that kind of pleasure. So it's like a mental thing. Yeah. So yeah, we know all his business, Zero. Yeah, he likes it 3 days straight, and they doing the fabial, and they doing the drugs, allegedly. We know all that, but we still haven't seen these federal charges. And that's another thing. See, that's what I'm saying, John. A lot of stuff that we heard were rumors, because no, we did not hear about these things. Did not come up in trial about certain things that we heard. Right. Right. Porn. I mean, horn. I don't think, yeah, horn. You watching? Yeah. But some people, when you get to a certain power level and you have a certain amount of money, like things that people may do behind closed doors and it's a secret, they might like act out on these fantasies. You know what I'm saying? So we know all his personal little fetishes and stuff. We know that. So we're gonna clown you, Puffy. We're gonna clown Puffy. That's just what we're gonna do. We're gonna clown him. But as far as federal charges, nah, that's not it. They dropped the ball. They missed that. Yeah, they dropped the ball. So closing arguments are estimated to last 4 hours for each side, and I cannot wait to hear the closing arguments. You said all that power and no peen to use. Yeah, see, we're gonna get him. We're gonna be clowning Puppy. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're gonna get him. We're gonna be clowning Puffy, man. Oh my goodness. We're gonna clown. He's gonna get clowned. Boy, Cat Williams is gonna tear him up. Cat Williams is gonna tear him up. I wonder, and the thing is, us out here, you know, those of us who don't know Puffy on a personal basis, we we're surprised. But if you listen to the industry, these people that know him, they're not surprised. They've already like 50 Cent people have been saying this for a long time. We just ignored it. We were like, he just hating on Puffy. We just ignored it. John, you said not guilty. That's how he stays filthy. Yeah, this is funny. Boy, this is so crazy. I don't know how long we're gonna be here, but we're gonna just hang in there until we can get some information on these closing arguments. I sure wish we were able to listen to it like we did the Young Thug trial. I wish we could hear it just word for word from the attorney's mouths instead of from people that's giving it to us. Because people can switch their little words up to. But hey, that's okay. We're gonna disseminate it as best as we can. John, you know what? I don't have enough experience to say what I like and dislike because this is how I like the way that I've gone live is on my computer or on here. So I don't know, I don't even know what when you say vertical video, like I'm assuming you're meaning like upright on the phone. I'm assuming that's what you mean. So, but I don't know the difference. Do you have a channel, John? Do you have a YouTube channel? Because you seem to have knowledge of this stuff as far as going live and things like that. You can give me some information. How about that? Yeah, I'm trying to go live, but it seems like my uploads are they do better than me going live. So, and that's I think it's because I have ADHD and I'm like I'll be talking about one thing and then I'll jump to this and then I'll jump to, and some people just don't like that. Some people can't follow you when you like boom, bam. So, yeah. Okay, Cynthia, that's cool. I got you. Go ahead and play your games. I'm gonna give you all the information that we learned as we were going through, so don't worry. Thank you for watching and listening. Okay. So you have like the animal cat, the cat animal on your thing, like videos of cats. I love cats. All right, so Cynthia, a lot of people are doing the same thing that you are. A lot of people are actually at work and they're just kind of listening to people that's giving information on this. So completely understand. Okay, well, just stay watching, play your game. I got you. I will be giving you all the information that we need. You're working, Zero? Okay, don't worry. I got you. Don't worry. As soon as we start it, they start giving closing arguments. I'm going to disseminate that information and make sure that you get the facts. Okay, and I'm going to try to leave as much of my opinion out of it as I can, Zero. Okay, I'm just giving you the facts. So don't worry. I got you. Really? You saw a change when they had like turned off TikTok for that moment, when they banned it for that moment? What kind of change? What kind of change did you see? And I'm just reading something, I'm thinking about like it's one thing I wanted to point. I don't think I pointed this out, but one thing I will say, like his one of the females, I think it was Jane, where she said um he was paying her rent and she told him like she didn't want to partake in his lifestyle anymore. And he said, but she didn't want, she wanted to have him keep paying her rent. Like that's just like a boyfriend. So when you're dating someone and you break up with them, say if the boyfriend or girlfriend was paying your car note or something, right? If you break up with the person, do you think that that financial support is still going to keep on? No. So that's actually quite normal. Oh, but he was going to stop paying my rent if I stopped doing the stuff. That's actually normal. Nobody's going to keep paying somebody's um taking care of them financially if you're not there, if you're not with them anymore. That's crazy. I thought that was crazy for them to even bring out. Like that's what I'm saying. It really depends on the walk of life that you're from. Oh, okay. So the vertical videos are something that TikTok created. So like going live on your phone, like I am right now, this is considered vertical live, I'm assuming. So if I'm on my laptop on live, that's not considered vertical live contracts. Oh, zero. So you're saying like it's a contract. So like it, you know what, zero, sometimes relationships, in some relationships, I don't know if you've heard the term sugar daddy or sugar mama. Like that is a contract, honestly. That is a contract. Like so there are sugar mamas, there are sugar daddies out here that look for certain people that they want to financially take care of. And in order to financially take care of them, they want you to, and they'll let they want you to look the best that you can look, or they want you to massage their feet once a month, whatever. I mean, it's just, whatever y'all personal arrangement is, that is, and like you said, I'm assuming that that's what you mean by the contracts. So, like, made a deal and broke it. Right, exactly. So, if you make a deal with me to do this, and I'm going to do this for you, right? A contract, and then you say, well, I can't do this any longer, then that means the contract is broken. Exactly. Exactly. What did we expect from the beginning? It's not like he hid it. He said, okay, this is what I like. He showed you what he likes, what he's into. Okay, you're my personal partner. This is what I want you to do, and I'm gonna do this for you. So that's exactly. There was no coercion, it was no force in this. It was no nothing, nefarious, nothing at all. It was very agreeable. So where are the federal charges? And let me tell you something, there are so many arrangement type of relationships that are going on till this day. Period. Even in marriages, there are arrangement arrangement relationships going on in marriages. You heard of beards? Yes. Look at Tyler Perry, allegedly. Beards. That is an arrangement. And you're knowing what arrangement you're in. Tyler Perry, hello. Promissory estoppel is the legal term if you can show that you incurred losses based on promise of others. Okay, if you could show that you incurred losses based on promises of others. Well, thank you, John, for giving us that input because we don't know. We're not legal professionals. I'm not a legal professional for sure in here, but thank you for giving us all the information that we need because we need it. Yeah. Huh? Soft child support. What do you mean, zero? What solves child support? Child support is pretty simple too. It's, the party that's not the custodial parent, they're supposed to provide this amount of money on a monthly basis. Lost out on what though? Because he evidently he was doing what he said he was going to do. So how did you lose out? You already knew what you were promised. You weren't promised anything further. And let me just say this now, if you were promised something further, so it's just like in a relationship, if a guy 2 months in, or if a female 2 months into the relationship and she says to you, you know what, you're the love of my life. I want to marry you one day soon. You're the love of my life. Well, not just yet, but one day we're gonna get married. And so 5 years later, y'all still haven't gotten married. Like that's up to you to stay in the relationship, even though you were like, oh, they're gonna marry me one day. But 5 years later, that's up to you. So the false promises of others. Well, if you're talking about Cassie John now, let's back up. Let's go back there. All right, so let's talk about Cassie because Cassie, when she from what we know, from what we have heard allegedly, that's why she joined the puppy thing, right? Now, have you all heard of the time she was booed off stages when she first came out? Remember, she was booed off stage. They talked about her and her live performances, like she can't perform live, blah, blah. Now that tells me, now remember when before she was so-called signed with Puffy at 19, she was doing modeling work. Now, this is my opinion. I don't think she was the most, now I'm talking about Cassie, not Jane, but she was not the most talented type of artist. And Puffy did try and put her out, but you can only do so much with a person that has limited talent. So, in my opinion, now this is just my opinion, I feel like Cassie, yes, she did want to be an artist. I feel like she did not have what it takes to be a big time artist. And I think that Puffy wanted her after, getting to know her and doing their little private stuff. I think he wanted the personal stuff from her. And she was thinking, okay, I'm going to be this big star one day. So, whatever reason she was down with the cause. But I mean, it's only so much Puppy could do when you don't have much talent. I know. You said Puppy didn't have boy. Oh my goodness. Puffy, you know what? But he pulled it off. You know what? We can't even talk about Puffy because yeah, Puffy is not. We do not consider him a lyricist, a hip hop lyricist. We do not. But guess what? He pulled it off and made millions from jumping up there doing what he does. So we cannot talk about Puffy and his talent because the man evidently is talented. He may not be the best lyricist, but the best rapper, but he is talented because he's made millions off his, doing what he did, right? And yeah, there's a lot of singers that are great because of auto tune, which is in her case, it was you can hear the auto tune, you can hear it. That's it, yeah. And but you know what, John, believe it or not, that's what a lot of people sell these people. It's a lot of if you look at a lot of there's so many artists that we never even heard of that's been sold some kind of dream. And that's just like so if I go to, or say in my, when I was 20 and I have a demo, right? I've made a demo and I'm fly and I'm cute and I'm, whatever. And I walk up into a record company with my demo and I'm looking fly and I'm, and this older gentleman, he's like, oh, who's this coming in this office? She's fly, right? Okay. And I'm like, here's my demo. On my demo, I'm a singer, and he plays my demo and he's in his mind, he's like, this is trash, right? Some people they're not gonna say, you know what, you don't have the talent. Sorry, but you just don't have the talent. They're gonna say some people, you know what, I really like her though on a personal level. Look at her, she's nice looking. Oh my goodness. And they're gonna try you. And the way they try me is they're gonna say, you know what, can I take you out? Let me take you out. And I say, okay, yeah, right. And then when I get into what happens in the out when we go out. and I'm still down with it. Now this has nothing to do with my music. This has nothing to do with my demo. But I'm sitting there now. It's been weeks and months, and I'm starting to go out here and I'm hiring male strippers to become and do the menage a trois, and I'm getting peed on, and I'm starting to do drug like that is my choice. So that means that I am desperate for this dream that I pursued, and I'm willing to do anything and everything, but I already see what it is. I already see what this person wants me to do. That is not Puffy's fault. That's her fault. And that is why when you have a child, a young adult who is, and when I say young adult, I'm saying over the age of 18. If I had a child over 18 that wanted to be an artist, okay? And they hooked up, they were out there, we were shopping them in the industry. You better believe I'm gonna be right there with them because I have the knowledge, right? I have the wisdom. So where were her parents? Her parents came into play. Like, who's just gonna just say give their young adult up who don't have life experience over to this entertainer? You know what I'm saying? It's like you got to have some kind of limit as to what you are willing to do, especially when it comes to your offspring, for superstardom or not for that child. Like, come on, you pack your bags too. Like, just with even Aaliyah, Aaliyah's parents should have packed their bags too. They should not have. Nobody should have had the opportunity to take advantage of that young lady. Anyway, we're getting off into a whole different thing. But yeah, nobody should like. If I have a teenage daughter, 18, I don't care if they're over 18. I'm not just gonna if my child wants to pursue, the industry, I'm gonna be right there with them. My bag's gonna be packed as well. Just like Usher. Usher's mom did the same thing. She actually sent him with Puffy, from my understanding, for artist development at what, 15 or whatever. There's no way I'm doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not just shipping my child off just for some superstardom. Like, it's no amount of money in the world that's worth that. I will have my bags packed and I'm going to. Shoot, a lot of stuff is seems more normal than brushing your teeth. Yeah, a lot of stuff. So yeah, so it like I said, it depends zero on what you've experienced, the walk of life that you've had. Um, So that's why it's like it's people that's like, what? How can you say Puffy's innocent? They're like that, and then you got these other people that's like, what? They got all these federal charges. I see this every once a year at the Super Bowl parties. They do this. They go out and hire the girls, and, to come to the Super Bowl parties halftime, and so it's like people are like, what? It's like people are just like torn because they're like, hold on, they've been doing this in Atlanta forever. They go out to the clubs, they see the girls that they like, they hire the girls, they say, hey, come to this address at this time, we're gonna pay you this much. And it's like they call them mansion parties in Atlanta. So it's just really what you've had experience in and what walk of life you've led. Some people who don't know anything about that lifestyle, those are the ones that's like, oh, disgrace. They're like, just because you find something disgraceful, it doesn't mean that it's illegal. You have, yeah, Atlanta's is a just a unique little place, right? Yeah. So, well, I can't ask you where you're from, but I guess I can if it's okay. Where's everybody from? Anybody in Georgia like me? You know what? I've heard that zero. So you're in Philly? You from Philly? Nap. Oh, Indiana? John, is that what you mean when you say nap? Cynthia says she's from America. Okay, nap. Y'all say nap. Okay. All right, John. Indiana. My cousin was when we were younger, we were like so close, and then her father was stationed into Indiana, so they left. They went to Indiana for a few years, and that's all I know about. And then I was with a company a long time ago who we opened up a hub in Indiana, nice by the water. It was nice, and so a lot of us had to go there to train and stuff like that. All right, John, hey, no shame in your game. You're like, I'm originally from the 1970s. Yeah, 70s baby in the house. Okay, so you're from the Philly area. Zero, what's up? Thank you for being here. All right, I like that. We got people from, different places. That's cool. So I'm from all over, but I've been living in Georgia for my my goodness, forever. Might as well say forever. But yeah, I've been all over. Um, Traveled with work that I was doing. So like I stayed in Jersey for 5 years and was working in Manhattan at the time. I was in Jersey City. Virginia, that's where most of my family is. And then we went to Germany, all that good stuff. Yeah. All right, let me see what we got here. Mm, yeah, the 90s. Let me see. The 90s was so exciting. I'm gonna tell you, I think the 90s too. Yeah, I love the early 90s. Early 90s. Zero, you say that? I don't know if you heard the term the dirty South. That is the truth. Trust me. And the reason it's the dirty South is because just from what you said, Southern states are nice, always friendly people. They will fool your ass. Trust me. Shoot. That's why it's the dirty South, because they're like, hi, how are you today? And they got these nice smiles, and you're like, oh, they're so nice here. But then, boy, you stay there long enough and see what happens. Boy, they will stab your butt in the back. It's like a fishing pole. It's like they throw the fish pole out there, throw the fishing pole out there, and then like the hook gets you, and they're like reeling you in. That's the nicest. They're reeling you in, like, hi, yeah. You want something to eat, baby? Yes. Yeah. Right. So they're reeling you in, and then you get there, and they're like, damn, damn. That's the dirty South. They will get you. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them fool you. Boy, don't let them fool you. And that's why it's the dirty South, because people be so shocked when they get the dirty. Oh, they say filthy for Philly. I did not know that. Okay, that makes sense. So that's why you say that it's similar. So Philly is filthy. So they're the same way. Oh my gosh. Right. Right, John. You don't expect it because you're like, oh, these, and you kind of feel pity. You're like, oh, I hope no one takes advantage of them. Oh, I hope no one, because they're so sweet. You're like, oh, somebody's gonna take it. Boy, somebody's gonna come down here and take advantage. No, honey. They're not gonna take no advantage because these people be like this. Hey, you want something to eat, sweetie? Come on in. What you want? Yeah, come on in, get what you want. Boy, don't mess with those people. Mm-mm. Don't, don't. Boy, don't make them mad. They will get you. Locks and made me and the lyrics. You talking about the locks? Boy, see, that's what I'm saying. It's about it's like hip hop, the hip hop culture, the hip hop world. It's like we have our own world, sort of. You know what I'm saying? No matter what your age is, no matter who you are, it's like so that's why we have to defend it. I think you're talking about, yeah, the locks. Oh, we have to defend our thing. We can't. Oh, what y'all think about the Fat Joe thing? Well, you know what? Let's stick to what we're doing. But yeah, the Fat Joe thing, that's what we're going to talk about next. Because okay, if you notice, have okay, so we know that he was being sued for $260 million, right? By the same attorney who represented Lil Rod, who brought all this stuff out, who started this whole mess with the puppy thing. The feds get involved with the puppy thing. Have we, since last week, have we heard anything about it? No. Same thing with Jay-Z. When that person was coming out suing Jay-Z, remember? The female? And then we didn't hear nothing else about it. And then all of a sudden, the lawsuit was dropped. Now, the Fat Joe situation, that's different because there are allegations of, I think 15-year-olds, which that's all alleged, but that's a whole different situation. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's not what hip hop is about. We don't do the underage type of thing. Now the pimp style or whatever you call it, well, I call it pimp style. Like if you like the pimp style, pimps, what do they do? The way that they behave like they're the owner of a person, like they own somebody, right? They hold ownership of an actual person, and they tell you who, what, when, where, how, right? So that's like what Puffy was doing. And he was acting like a pimp. That's why I say he's gonna get so ragged on his lifestyle behind the stage, behind the scenes. People are going to be ragging him. All right, so we're going to do a little research because I mean, it's already almost what? Yeah, 11. So I'm surprised closing arguments haven't started. I don't know. I've never personally met a pimp, but I'm just going by what I've heard. I don't know nothing about pimps, but just from what I've heard, some stuff I was listening to, I'm like, that's like a pimp. And let me tell you something. Yeah. All right, let's see. Hmm. Y'all, this is interesting. Boy, anybody can if you look at the what pimps do, anybody can be a pimp, right? That's right. your darn your partner, your girlfriend or your boyfriend can pimp you, right? It's the term pimp. You're right. It's like a what a verb. So you're right. Let me ask y'all something. So this is what I was saying earlier. So you are charged with all these different crimes, right? And the trial starts. You say not guilty. The trial starts, and then all of a sudden, the end of the trial, y'all both close, defense and prosecution, and then in the middle of the night, the prosecution says, "No, we're gonna have to take away this charge, this charge, this charge because you know we didn't prove it." Isn't that right to y'all? Doesn't that mean the person is not guilty? If you sit there before closing arguments, take away, remove the charges that you feel like is going to hurt you, how are they able to do that? That's crazy. It's so unfair. The justice system is so unfair. Oh my gosh. Oh, John. Whew. It's dirty. That's some dirty stuff, boy. Wait, I'm gonna read this in case somebody's listening, okay? So this is John giving his interpretation of pimping. Okay, so girl, let's go eat. I don't have any money. Don't worry, I got you. That's the female. Don't worry, I got you. And then John says, but they had money, so he had money the whole time. So that's pimping. Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh, okay, so on the topic of how can they just take away some charges because they didn't prove it. So that's why they charge so many different charges to begin with. Man, that is crazy, the justice system. How can you take away some charges because you didn't prove it? If you didn't prove it, then charges should be just let drop and he should be walking out. You shouldn't be able to just charge a whole slew of things and you don't have the evidence. Like if you charge somebody with a whole slew of things and you don't have the evidence, after at the end of the trial it's found that you don't have the evidence, then the charges should be dropped and that person should be walking away. Okay, pencil whipping you. I don't like that at all. That is so unfair. So let me get y'all's opinion. Do y'all think that Puff Daddy should have testified? What do y'all think? What's y'all's opinion? Do y'all think that it would have been a plus or would have hurt him or helped him if he would have testified? What's your opinion? I'm going to give my opinion. I think with Puffy's influence early on, I was thinking because of who he is and how he's a people's person, I was like, yeah, he should testify. Now that I've seen the evidence and what's come out, it's no need for him to testify because he'll just confirm stuff that people are going to rag him about shortly when he gets out. Boy, Puppy will never have another party. Just a regular, normal party. Nobody's gonna go because they're gonna be worried about the reputation now that Puppy has. They're gonna say, "Oh, I'm not gonna be seen with Puppy." They're gonna think I'm, one of his freak off partners. So you think he looks weak in the jurors' eyes? I don't think so. I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know about that. But yeah, I just don't because I saw it, I thought it would be a strong thing for him to testify because he is a people's person and he can influence people to understand what other people may try to make seem like some horrible stuff. But now I just don't feel like it would be necessary. It's not necessary. Yeah, it's not necessary. Oh, I know. I know where we're gonna go. I know, I know, I know. Don't worry, folks. I got you. Oh, don't say the word unmanly. Oh my gosh. Don't say that. That's what I'm saying about why he's gonna be ragged. People are gonna rag him about his unmanliness. But guess what, John? Unmanly is not a crime. Unmanly is not a federal crime. So that's the thing about it. It's not a crime to be unmanly. In the hip hop community, it might be funny. You might get ragged on, but it's not a crime, especially a federal crime. It's not a violent crime and it's not a federal crime. It's nothing of the sort. So, and see, to Puffy's mind, if you think about the way he treated people, the way people have testified that he treated them, that's what he considers manly. You know, he's from where is he from? Harlem or the Brooklyn? He's from Harlem. You know, and with me, when I lived up there for 5 years, most of the gentlemen that I've met from up there, preferably Brooklyn, because anyway, um, they were that way. Most northern males that's from the street, they're that's how they are. They're very like they show that manliness, and the way that they think that they're showing manliness is by uh being um right. And that's why he was so, because I felt like Puffy, because of who his father was, exactly. I felt like he had to like uphold this reputation of being the tough guy, the leader, the ruler, the boss. You know what I'm saying? So he just took it too far with how he treats people with him, because it's just like a gangster. If you listen to the testimonies of people, it's just like something like a mob style gangster type of lifestyle, which he didn't have to do that because he's Puffy. He had Bad Boy Entertainment. He's making money. He's putting out the hot artists. He's making money, whether people like it or not, whether people like his lyrics or not, whether people like him on stage or not. He was still the man. So he didn't have to do all that. And I think he just let his life, his personal wants and stuff just take over at a certain point. And that could be the drugs, allegedly. So if when you start doing drugs, like those hardcore type of drugs, you could just, I think that's why we haven't heard much from Puffy in the entertainment industry lately, because I think he had let that stuff consume his lifestyle. Yep, he sure does. Yep. You see, when I think of Puffy now, I'm thinking like, so his father was a certain person, but just because your father is this powerful gangster, right? It doesn't mean that the children are going to turn out to be that way. Puffy, he could have had a hold of, because think about it. Pop, big time gangsters, they make what? Money. When you make a whole lot of money, your children, those gangsters' children are not like growing up the way you grew up. They're growing up in private school. They have different, you're providing a better lifestyle for the child than what you had, right? Most people with a lot of money. Look at the real Gotti, look at his children. They didn't have no street life, whether they want to portray it or not. They didn't have street life. They went to private school. They had this, they grew up in a big mansion. You know what I'm saying? So Puffy, because to me, if you look at earlier pictures, he had his little, he looked like one of those little suck thumb kid. He was probably a spoiled little kid. He's, that and he just wanted to portray this because because it's hip hop, so he was trying to be tough. So he's bossing people around, telling them what to do, and he just took it too far. But it still is not a federal crimes, I don't think anyway. That's just my opinion. Right, I agree. It definitely can't be because of the evidence if they find him guilty, because they have not proven the guilty for these crimes for sure. Yep, that's right. Yep, and it seems like the thing is, because we were not able to go inside the courtroom and see this, and it's not televised, he very well could be found guilty. So John says he's got a RICO charge with no co-defense. RICO is conspiracy. Who did he conspire with? Okay, right. Yeah, it's really, to me, it's all bogus. It's bogus. I think these charges are way above Puffy's head. And I think Puffy was just, like I said, living out his little personal fetishes. And I don't think Puffy knew that he was touching uh, the likes of such types of crimes. That's what I think. I don't think he understood. Yeah, because he went way too far. He got too deep into his once. All right, let's see. Okay, let's see. All right, one moment. Let's see. You said kidnapping if they want to run wild. Right, if they want to run wild, okay. Right. You know how many men have kidnapped their partners in these toxic relationships people have, man? Kidnap a lot of toxic relationships. There's gonna be some kidnappers. No, you better not move. Oh, you can't go. No, you will not be going to so and so Gucci man's party because no, I don't trust you. Come on now, it's a lot of darn kidnappers. Oh boy. Okay, so they're starting closing arguments. Where do you think you're going? Right. Whew. Mm-mm-mm. Yep. So I guess that's the kidnapping, right, John? So a lot of people need to be charged with some kidnapping in these toxic relationships. And we're not saying it's normal. It's not normal. It is not normal, but it is not a federal crime. Now you know, there are a lot of toxic relationships like that, unfortunately. All right, so I'm just going to go through this. So this is the prosecution when he took her back in the hotel room. Oh, when he that day when he like drug her back in the room. Mm-mm-mm. Yep. I'm telling you, I know people that like they're like, okay, New York has this what do you call it? No, oh gosh. When there's no time frame on how long before you can well before something expires where you can sue someone. I can't think of the term right now. But there's a lot of females that's like, "What? I didn't know I could sue for that." Because they were in that kind of relationship. They were in that kind of relationship. Shoot, it was toxic. There's a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of toxic relationships going on. Unfortunately, right? Statute of limitations on certain types of crimes in New York, dealing with sexual crimes and stuff like that. Which, in this case, sexual crimes is subjective in this type of thing, from based on what I'm hearing from the trial. And we don't condone any type of sexual crimes at all, but just saying the facts. The facts are the facts. All right, um, so prosecution, Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavik reminded the jury of Cassie's testimony. So they're going back to reminding the jury about Cassie's testimony. 2009 incident when stomping on her face in a car. Sean Diddy Combs forced her to stay in a hotel for a week while her injuries healed. Okay, toxic, horrible relationship, horrible situation. Um, Combs' security guard brought her back to his house after she jumped out of the car and tried to run away. While she stayed at the hotel, Combs' staff brought her clothes and food, and his security team made sure she didn't leave. And I don't believe that. What I believe, honestly, with that, I believe in. Okay, let me stick to the facts because what I believe is not what I'm trying to disseminate to you all. So, okay, so let me keep on going. So Slavic told the jury they could be confident this happened because Combs' former assistant David James testified that he remembered bringing her ice cream while she was staying at the hotel. And I gotta say something right quick. Okay, so if when in a toxic relationship, if you all get into it and there's some fighting going on between you two, and there's bruises, you don't want people, especially in the line, if you're in the limelight like Puffy and Cassie, you don't want people to see these things. So this person's going to stay in here until you heal, and who you're not going. Of course, the assistants and people are going to bring the food, bring what you need, because you know what, we're taking care of you. And that's just like men in domestic violence relationships or females. So when someone is in a domestic violence relationship and they have abused the person, what do they do after? Okay, in domestic violence relationships, afterwards, after they've done the abuse, they try to make up for it. They comfort the person, they coddle them, they send them flowers because they're trying to make up for what they did, even though they're probably going to do the same thing 2 months down the line. So that is domestic violence at its finest. But again, the domestic violence versus these federal crimes are two different things. Oh, they do have a deadline to file a claim. Okay. All right. Thanks for still being here, Cynthia. I appreciate you, dear. All right. So, um, okay, this is the prosecution stated it's clear that Cassie did not consent to staying in the. She said it's clear. You see how they're trying to be influential with what they're saying. It's clear that Cassie did not consent to staying in the London hotel, but she had no choice. The defendant told her she couldn't leave, Slavic said. He had a security team telling her she couldn't leave. Now, this is the same person that when that footage was out at the hotel, Cassie, okay, Cassie is the same person who was on the video clip saying that she would kill, threatening to kill a person if something got out. And you're telling me that she allowed some assistance to force her into saying, no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. Anyway, so you got to kind of think logically and put two and two together. Everything that is said is not true, and it's some things just really don't make sense. Yep, some things just don't make sense. I wonder why. So what we're going to do next after this, because this trial is going to be over, like I would say honestly, I'm going to say by Tuesday. It depends on if both prosecution and defense finish their closing arguments today. I'm going to say this is going to be done and over with by Tuesday, is what I'm going to think. No, but I can find out. Let's talk about that. Okay, I'm back. Okay, sorry about that. So, that definitely will make a difference because as you see, when you listen to folks talk about this, you see some people like, what? The two different sides. And so I guess that, and you know what, it really doesn't have anything to do with male or female. It really depends on the walks of life that people are from. That's what I truly believe because some people act like they've never heard of people doing these things to people. And some people have experienced it themselves and they're like, okay, I didn't know that was abnormal. I did not know that that was, you know. Some people have lived these types of had these types of relationships, and they did not know. They're like, "What? That sounds like my ex-boyfriend." You know what I'm saying? So, Lordy, it's just funny. Boy, I tell you, us as a people, we just put ourselves through so much. We just all over the place as a people, right? Just all of us humans, we just all over the place. Man. Okay, so these are the charges that were dropped, just to go run over these real quick. Attempted kidnapping, that has been dropped. Attempted arson, that has been dropped. Well, we didn't even see the evidence in that to begin with at all. Um, Aiding and abetting sex trafficking. So those were the ones that were dropped. Zero said everyone needs to slow down and reevaluate. All right, so here's a new update. All right. Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic says Sean Diddy Combs kidnapped Capricorn Clark again, December 2011. Pay attention to these years, the dates. December 2011. It is 2025. Okay. Forcing her to go with him and a security guard to Kid Cudi's house after learning, and we're not even going to go there because that that testimony, well, let me disseminate properly, okay? All right, I got to take my own opinion out of this. I'm trying to give this to you, okay? All right, so let's get back to. So Slavic reminded the jury. Now, again, this is the prosecution talking to the jury with their closing. Slavic reminded the jury of Clark's testimony about that morning when Combs came to her door with a gun and told her, "Get dressed. We're going to kill Cudi or Cuddy." Now, that's DJ Cuddy, and I don't give a blank what you want to do. Go get dressed. They drove to the rapper's house where Combs trespassed. Later that day, Combs wouldn't let Clark leave his supervision until she brought Ventura to him. Okay. And then they're like, Clark testified that she went to Ventura and convinced her to return to Combs' house, where Clark said she watched Combs brutally kick Ventura as she lay on the ground in front of the house. Ventura gave a similar account of that day's events when she testified. The enterprise's purpose, this is what the prosecution is saying, the enterprise's purpose was to protect its leader, not to protect Cassie, not to protect Capricorn. All right, so that's what the prosecution has just said to the jury. Now, let me say this. If you listen to that, and I'm not trying to normalize toxicity. I'm not trying to normalize it, but when you're in an abusive relationship, this is actually quite normal in an abusive relationship. We're not condoning abuse, we're not condoning domestic violence, but this is what happens when you're in an abusive relationship with toxic people, especially when there's drugs or stuff involved. There tends to be a high amount of possessiveness. And when you are possessive and you're a very highly controllable, abusive person, you tend to treat your partner like they're like you own them, like you literally own them. For real. So this is like again, it depends on the walks of life that you're from. This actually sounds like just a crazy toxic relationship. You know, they suspect a person of, oh, you text this person. What? Okay, give me your phone. You're not gonna have your phone. You know, I mean, it's just a toxic relationship. Zero said everyone needs to slow down and reevaluate. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, let's see. All right. And a lot of things that we have heard, a lot of things did not come out at all. So a lot of stuff, a lot of times we be listening to rumors that just aren't true. So that's why when it comes to a trial and the justice system and stuff, I just go by the facts. 'Cause even some of the rumors didn't even come out, and trust and believe some of the rumors that I've heard, it would have been brought out via the prosecution if it were true. And you know what? A lot of these people that like the assistants, I think that their testimonies were based off of them making sure that I'm not going down for your stuff, even though I did this stuff for you. Um, I'm not going down. So they just testified to protect themselves, keep themselves from being charged with the same crimes. So it's pretty much like, snitches do. When the stuff hits the fan, it's the same thing that snitches do. All right, so next, let's see. Okay, so right now they're just trying to influence the arson thing, but why did they drop the charge? That's what the prosecution is trying to influence them in regards to him being involved with the arson of the Kid Coodie's car, Kid Cudi Cuddy, his car. But guess what? They dropped that charge, and they dropped the charge because there was no evidence. This is what the prosecution said to the jury. Of course, the defendant was behind this. Now, it shouldn't come to as a surprise to you that we're not suggesting the defendant personally cut the hole in Kid Coodie's Porsche, Sladek said. You heard the audio notes. The defendant didn't even buy his own soup. So they get really petty during closing arguments. The prosecution sounds really mad for her to add that the defendant didn't even buy his own soup. Are you jealous that Puffy could get people to buy his own soup? Shoot. Remember the assistant that said she was work while he's in the bathroom taking a poop? Like, are you jealous that Puffy got some people to kiss his butt like that? That's what that sounds like. Like, what is that about? That's kind of personal. The defendant didn't even buy his own soup. He didn't have to. Shoot, if I could get somebody that is working for me that I'm paying to buy me some my soup, if I don't feel like getting it, I'm gonna do it. So basically, what they're trying to say is, of course, there was no evidence of him being at the scene. Of course, he wouldn't have done it, but he, is the one that um, ordered it. That's what they're trying to portray. All right, so I'm going to read this statement again. This is the prosecution deliberating their closing arguments. Slavic, which is the attorney, the prosecuting attorney, said the defense has tried to suggest Combs had nothing to do with the arson, but the evidence had and basic logic suggests otherwise. Slavic pointed to Ventura's testimony where she said Combs told her he was going to have Kid Cootie's car blown up and he was out of the country. And then this is a quote. Where are the odds that the car the defendant just said he was going to blow up got blown up? And the coincidences keep coming, Slavic said. She pointed to an email Cassie Ventura sent in December 2011 that detailed some of Combs' threats, including that Combs threatened to hurt her and Cuddy, but not with his own hands, and he'd be out of the country when it happened. Now that sounds pretty normal, like a toxic relationship. Okay, you know what? If I catch y'all together, this is what's going to happen. Okay? People make threats. Toxic relationships, there are threats made like that. What a coincidence. This is what the prosecution says. What a coincidence that the man Sean Combs hated and wanted to hurt had his car lit on fire just 2 weeks after the email was sent, Slavic said. She referred to that. So if you feel like this needs to be brought up in closing arguments, if you feel like Puffy did this, if you proved this, then why did you drop the arson charges, attempted arson charges? She referred to the meeting between Cuddy and Combs following the incident when Cuddy said Combs looked like a Marvel supervillain. And then this is a quote. What are the odds that after that meeting with Cuddy agreed to stop seeing Cassie, nothing else happens? No more break-ins, no more cocktails, Slavic said. And then years later, the defendant apologized to Kid Cudi. This is quite a collection of coincidences. But of course, you know that is not a coincidence. You know what happened here. So they're just trying to influence the jury that Puffy did this, even though they dropped this arson part of it. I'm confused why they're spending time trying to influence this, if that's the case. I guess they had this prepared, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But let's see. See if there's any new updates. Okay. No, there isn't. Okay, do y'all remember? Did anybody see if you haven't seen it, watch it. This stuff is shocking. Nobody's talking about it though. I don't know why. The interview with Cassius Smith, Puffy's ex designer, clothing designer, like that was crazy. That interview was crazy. This man said that ASAP Rocky, allegedly ASAP Rocky is gay and that Rihanna knows it. So basically she's a beard, allegedly. Who's not a beard these days? It's a lot of beards out here, right? My God, y'all know what a beard is? A beard is a woman who knowingly is being set up to pretend that she is, the spouse or whatever, or the baby's mom or whatever, in a relationship with a man that is gay. All right, so here we go. So this is what the prosecution goes to next. Um, Prosecutor says Combs tried to bribe security guard after assaulting Carrie. All right. So in March 2016, after Combs assaulted Cassie Ventura in an elevator lobby at the Intercontinental Hotel, Combs tried to bribe the responding security guard with a stack of money. Israel Flores testified that he declined the money from Combs at the time when he responded to the scene and escorted Ventura out of the hotel room. He didn't know the defendant had just beaten Cassie in a public area of the hotel, but the defendant knew what he did, Slavic said of Combs. Attempted bribe. After Ventura left the hotel, Combs and his staff started damage control. Damage control, that's what a lot of people do after an incident in a domestic violence relationship, in any abusive relationship. I've seen on right here on YouTube where physically abusive, not physically abusive, but mentally abusive parents have said some things, crazy things on this on YouTube online, and then afterwards they bring up they try to bring up all the peaches and cream and all the lovely things of life and God and the Bible, like that's damage control. That's what they're doing. He called anyway, let's get back to this. He called Ventura over a dozen times and texted her repeatedly at one point, falsely telling her that he was being arrested. The police were never involved in the altercation, but Slavic told the jury Combs was manipulating Ventura. And of course, we know that manipulation, that is not a federal crime. And we know that most of the time in domestic violence relationships, there's tons of manipulation. All right, so this is prosecution quote. The defendant knew what he had done and knew the potential consequence, Slavic said. He knew that he could be arrested if the police knew what he did to Cassie at the hotel. Later that day, Christina Coram, Combs' former chief of staff and Combs' lead security guard at that time, D-Rock, began working to clean up the situation for Combs. Coram tracked down the video surveillance footage and D-Rock monitored Ventura. That's what the prosecution just told the jurors. All right. All right. So again, it's to me, it's funny. I'm laughing because I'm like, okay, so y'all just spent the first part of your time in encouraging the jury that he did have something to do with the arson, which is something that you dropped. And then you're talking about the Cassie incident at the hotel, which we saw that with our own eyes. We already know Puffy was physically abusive. We know that. So again, I think it's almost like these things happen. It's almost like I think that when Cassie's lawsuit happened last year and Puppy paid her the 20 million, it's like these guys are solely the prosecution. It's like they're fighting for why he paid her 20 million, I guess. That's what the whole trial has been about. It's been about Cassie and Puppy's toxic relationship. So walking away from this, we all know why Puffy paid her 20 million. But we don't know anything else. That's it. We just see a toxic relationship. We know also we've learned about Cassie too. We've learned that she did not like Kim Porter. We learned that she was jealous of Kim Porter. We learned that she spoke bad about Kim Porter, talking about her old vagina, talking about her darker skin complexion. We know that about Cassie. Um, I think that um fans will treat him the same, but I don't think his peers will treat him the same. I think that they're gonna rag him. Like people like in the industry, I think that they're gonna rag him publicly just because I don't think that they want us fans to think that they have anything to do with him on a personal basis. But no, I don't think he's gonna be treated differently. I think he's gonna treat people differently, and I think that he's gonna look at things differently. Well, I know, but the thing is that in my opinion, I think that people knew. I think people like it's surprising news to us, but I think the industry people, I think they knew about Puffy and his personal, private stuff, like his. I don't know, because this get kind of that the freak offs kind of got a little deep. So you know what? People might treat him different. I don't honestly, I don't think Puffy is gonna act the same way though. I don't think he's gonna act like, okay, I got it going on. Because a lot of stuff, a lot of embarrassing stuff has come out about his personal lifestyle that's shunned upon in hip hop in the hip hop industry. So yeah, in the hip hop industry, he is not going to be looked at as the same because it's just certain things that aren't acceptable in the hip hop industry, period. And I don't think they're ever going to be acceptable in the hip hop industry. Like acceptable to the point where it's just like, oh, it's normal. No, but again, just because it's not normal in the hip hop community, it doesn't mean that it's a federal crime, right? You know what, though? I mean, this is kind of off the subject, but at the beginning of the trial, when his daughters were coming up there, why did he? Because Puffy knew what was about to come out in that trial. Puffy knew what was about to come out that first week, the first week with Cassie on the stand. Why did he allow those girls in that courtroom? Why did he allow his daughters in there to witness that? Like, there is no way, being a female, there's no way that you want to hear about your father's personal stuff, personal sexual life, and there's definitely no way you want to hear about your father physically abusing somebody and all those texts and stuff like that. There's no way that you want your daughters to witness that. Because they look at you, your daughters look at you as their protector. You know what I'm saying? You're their protector. So if you're being damaging to another female, you know, how are they going to look at you? That's something that Puffy really got to think about or should have thought about before allowing his daughters to come in there. Evidently, his sons knew about his personal lifestyle, but the daughters, is no way I would have let my daughters come and witness that because you definitely don't want them to think that that's normal. Number one, you don't want anybody to treat them like that. So I don't get that. I don't get why he let them come. And I'm happy that I think it was like that third day during the trial, they left and never came back again. So I'm very happy to know that they didn't come back because that was too much for some daughters to hear about their dad, for sure. Shoot. See, we're not hearing much about it right now because guess what? Everybody's in the courtroom listening to this stuff. The prosecution's closing arguments. Let's see. Okay. All right. So no movement right now. Okay. It's been an update. Let's see what's going on, guys. Okay. So Slavic says efforts to acquire video of hotel assault show how Combs used his inner circle, which that's what most people with money do. They use their money and power to get what they want. Nothing odd about that, I don't think. So Christina Coram and Sean Diddy Combs both reached out to multiple outlets, U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic said. Um, Finally, Garcia told them his boss would give them the video for $50,000, she said. Only 48 hours after the defendant assaulted Cassie at the Intercontinental Hotel, Eddie Garcia went to the defendant's office to deliver his end of the bargain. This was a crucial moment for the defendant. He needed that video file. Slavic said Coram, Combs' chief of staff, and one of Combs' security guards were both present when Garcia met with the music mogul. Garcia signed an NDA that day, she said. This sent a clear message to Eddie that he was not to speak about this incident to anyone. Combs then put $100,000 cash through a money counter, put it in a brown bag, and handed it to Garcia. The bribe is now complete, Slavic said. As Garcia was leaving, Combs told him not to make any big purchases. Slavic said, it sounds like the mob. Anyway, that moment tells you everything you need to know about the defendant's purpose in paying this bribe. Think about why the defendant said that. Slavic said this incident shows that Combs agreed to commit bribery and use his inner circle to get it done. She said it's a prime example of the workings of the enterprise, since the video showed the defendant's assault of Cassie during a freak off and members of the Combs enterprise not stopping at anything to make sure the video wouldn't fall into hands of law enforcement. So that's what was just said from prosecution to the jury. So be sure to subscribe, guys, and click on the notifications because once we once the jury has their verdict in, we're definitely gonna go live, like probably everybody else, but we're gonna go live. So make sure that you are tuning in, click on the notifications. I've tried to schedule lives, but in this circumstance we can't schedule it because we don't know when they're going to deliberate once these closing arguments are finished. So be sure to tune in and be sure to have your notifications on because we're definitely going to go live once they deliberate, once these closing arguments are done. See, people sleep on Mr. Brian Steele, Young Thug's attorney. Trust me, this man made a big difference in this case, big difference in this trial. And then after this trial is over, we're gonna move on to other things like the Fat Joe situation and what's going on with that. We're gonna stay glued to that because that's some juicy stuff. That's actually, yeah, we're gonna see what's going on with that and a whole slew of other things that's going on. And you know what? Let me just say this. Closing arguments is when attorneys, they have to be the most powerful, right? Closing arguments, because this is your last impression that you have on this jury, right? So, like, if you remember, or I remember, I watched the whole Young Thug trial, right? I watched the whole Young Thug trial. I followed it as much as I could. And this whole trial, I was like, oh my God, the state doesn't have any evidence. Oh, how dare them? How dare Fannie? I was just mad at Attorney Love. I was like, how can they do this to this man? They got him in this for all these years, all this time. Well, closing arguments, I can remember um who was the assistant DA? Not Love, but the female under her. I can't remember her name. The tall, dark-skinned lady. But she said the closing arguments that she gave were so powerful. I was like, dang. I was like kind of scared a little bit. I was like, what? But you see, it that's what their job is. They're supposed to be powerful during that time. This lady remembers like her accent. They said she took it to the hood, like she was talking like she was from the hood. What was her name? Little? Oh my goodness gracious. I can't remember. Mm, mm. But you see, he wasn't charged. Well, I'm not gonna say he wasn't charged. But honestly, I think that if, like Brian Steele said, because he didn't agree with Thug taking the plea that he did take, and I think if he would not have taken that plea, I think things would have turned out for him like they did with Yak Gotti. If he could have just held on for just a little more time. Let me make sure I'm still on, because Yeah, I kind of wonder. I don't see any more reaction from you guys. Are you there? Why can't I type a comment? Um, oh, because I'm on the device. I guess when you go live, it's depending on the device you're on. Because I know when I used to go live on the laptop, I could list comments and stuff. Okay, so, all right, so here's an update. Let's see. All right, so prosecutor says Combs Enterprise, they're bringing up the enterprise name word. So he said, enabled sex trafficking of Ventura and Jane. That's what he said. That's what they said. So that's their next point to try and influence the jury to believe. Okay, so Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slevik told the jury they can find that Sean Diddy Combs Enterprise helped him commit sex trafficking of Cassie Ventura and Jane. Combs is also charged with 2 counts of sex trafficking for forcing Ventura and Jane into sexual encounters with male escort, forcing them. That's what they said. Through threats, drugs, lies, manipulation, and violence. Slavic said this is not an attempt to criminalize dysfunctional relationships. The reason she said that is because of what people like me and everybody else is saying. Dysfunctional relationship. It is not a federal crime. Maybe it should be, but it's not. Or not dysfunctional, but toxic. I'm going to say domestic violence. That should be federal, but it's not. That should be a bigger crime than what it is. Um, or let me start. Okay, so this is not an attempt. This is what she said. This is not an attempt to criminalize dysfunctional relationships or unconventional sexual practices. She made sure that she put that out there because everybody's like, what? That's against what? Just weird. He's got weird sexual preferences, and. All right, so she says the prosecutor acknowledged that both Ventura and Jane agreed to try freak-offs and hotel nights at the beginning of their relationships with Combs. Slavic said the jury doesn't need to find that all the majority of freak-offs or hotel nights were the product of force, fraud, and coercion. The law also doesn't require Ventura or Jane to have explicitly said no to Combs at the time or tried to run away. Slavic showed the jury images of 27 men that Combs hired to have sex with Ventura, Jane, or both. This slide shows you just a subset of the strangers who had sex with Jane and Cassie. And as we know, these men were hired by Cassie and Jane. And Cassie even admitted to going to a strip club and picking out Chocolate Thunder. So, yeah, you were really forced. You went and hired, you paid, you told him where to go. When he got there, you gave him instructions. Um, so, yeah, but you were forced. Okay, so that's what they just brought out to the jury just then, the prosecution. All right, here's another update. Let's see. All right, so Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic said Jane's sex trafficking charge is based on Sean Diddy Combs' years-long pattern of fraud, coercion, and ultimately forced to get her to do hotel nights. Slavic said 3 hotel nights in September 2023, October 2023, and June 2024 are the most clear-cut examples of sex trafficking with Jane. But there are many other hotel nights that Jane agreed to because the defendant's pattern of coercion. The beginning of Jane and Combs' relationship in 2021 was a classic example of love bombing, Slavic said. She said Combs showered her with gifts and affection to prime her to do exactly what he wants her to do, which is what sugar daddies do, people. That's what sugar daddies do. Um, or usually older men, they do that. Or men that wants you to be at their beck and call. So even in relationships, that's what most men do. And she spends the rest of their relationship chasing that intense feeling of love, which she's chasing something that's not there. Because, and she knew it wasn't there, just like Cassie knew it wasn't there. She knew her place in that relationship, both of them. Number one, Jane was hired as an assistant, remember? And then she turned into a side chick because, from my understanding, Jane was seeing Puffy while he was still seeing Cassie at a certain point, and while he was seeing Cassie, he was still with whatchamacallit at a certain point, Kim. So they knew their place. And if you choose to stay in a relationship in that, like when the guy is with this one and this one, that's not a force. That's you choosing that. But guess what? She did say on stand, Jane said on stand, because I love my house, I wanted him to keep paying my mortgage or rent or whatever. Okay, so this is quote a quote. The defendant started grooming Jane, slowly introducing her to the different elements of freak offs, Slavic said. She referred to Jane's testimony about their first hotel night, which she said she agreed to because she was high and wanted to please her partner. Most of most of us women, we want to do that. So, but then she felt like she opened Pandora's box, and that's what could happen. Once whatever you put on the table, just a saying that people go by. Whatever you bring to the table is what you got to stick with. So you want to freak a guy out at the beginning of a relationship and show them you know you can do all this and you're down with all this, then you got to keep it going. You can't sit there and bring this to the table and then take it away. Once you get them like excited, you know what I'm saying? You can't. It's just like a female that is into oral sex. So she turns the guy out, right? The first time they have, sex, she turns him out and she does this great job, right? And then a month later, he's like, "Oh, I can't wait to have one of those, times with her. She is so good at this, whatever." And then she says, "Oh, I'm not doing this anymore." You can't do that. Again, this conversation sounds like we're talking about someone's personal relationship. It does not sound like we're talking about a federal trial. Okay. Now this is what I don't understand. They're acting like this is so abnormal. So I guess every okay. Anyway, all right. So a lot of men, if you ask most women, um, a lot of times men, especially when you're dating someone of an older age, they tend to use what they can do for you to keep you. Okay. And listen to this, which Holmes, what is he going to do for me? All right. The defendant dangled different carrots. This is prosecution telling the jury. Dangled different carrots to make Jane continue doing hotel nights. Would promise trips and shopping, like a sugar daddy, like sugar daddies do. But only after spending a night in a hotel, and then he failed to follow through. And that's when she would say, okay, you say you're going to do this for me and leave the relationship. There's nothing forceful about anything. They were just lies he told Jane to make her keep participating in these hotel nights. In April 2023, the defendant gave Jane another carrot that quickly turned into a stick. He started paying her rent. She said Combs' coercive pattern picked up steam when he started paying her rent, and he would threaten to cut off her rent and end their relationship when she tried to resist the hotel nights. She should have been paying her own rent or able to pay her own rent. Let me tell you something. If a man, and this is to females, if a man chooses to do something for you, fine. But make sure that you, especially if it's, unless it's your husband, that's different. But if you're just in a relationship and if a man is doing something for you, that's fine. But make sure that you're not relying on that man to do that. Make sure that you can do it for yourself so that when he cuts it off or if he cuts it off, hey, that's fine. You're able to do it yourself. Like, and that's just a personal thing, just to let these females know that. All right. So, okay, so they're just doing a summary of what the prosecution has said so far. So they must be on some sort of break, I guess. Let's see. All right. So they're just summarizing this news media person here. All right. So still at that. All right. So we're just waiting on more information. Just waiting on more information. So while we're waiting, in between these um, waits, waiting on the courtroom to continue, we're going to talk about um, something that I want to leave people with because, again, I am for Puffy being free because I don't like when the justice system um, or the government tries to take advantage of the justice system to lock people up that they don't want to be out or whatever. Um, unless you have some evidence, like there are so many people that's locked away right now, where they were found guilty, but the evidence was not there, but they were still found guilty because they're not who they're not famous or, popular, and that, no one wasn't following this. So the reason I want to talk about this, um, because this is a touchy trial. This is a touchy trial because it involves domestic violence. We've seen it with our own eyes. In no way, shape, or form am I defending domestic violence for a man or a female, because there are men that are physically abused also. I will never defend that. However, domestic violence does not equivalent to a federal crime. It is not equivalent to racketeering, sexual trafficking, all these things. It is not, it does not match with those things. So, but in no way, shape, or form am I condoning any type of um, physical violence or even mental abuse. And I will say, Puffy, when he comes out, Puffy, you probably need to get you, and he's probably going to get him some help. I'm sure his, you know, peers and people have told him you need some help, because you do need help. If you think that you have that much power to where you can treat people the way you've treated people, you can't do that, you know? Boy, I'm gonna tell you something though, and this is on a funnier note. Early on, before this trial started, when 50 Cent was talking about Meek Mill and Diddy and that rumor, right? And me, I was kind of skeptical. I was like, man, Meek Mill, I don't know about that. Now, I think there's some truth to that, allegedly. That's just my opinion. I think there's some truth to that because of all this stuff that's come out. All right, let's see. And they may be going to lunch soon. So what we'll do is when they go to lunch, we'll go to lunch and we'll come back. Because this is pretty, we're pretty much going to be, I'm going to do a live, and I don't care if anyone's in here or not, but I'm going to do a live because this is what I've been waiting for, you know. I'm going to stay on live, or I might come back and restart the live once they go to lunch and come back, after when they come back, because I want to touch on everything. I want to talk about this. This is what I'm here for. This is juicy stuff, you know. This is what I'm here for. So, all right. So we're just waiting on some more updates. Just waiting on some more updates. Okay, last update was about 6 minutes ago now. Man, I cannot wait when till people come out of that courtroom during break or a lunch break or whatever. I cannot wait to get updates from the people that are actually inside of the courtroom. I cannot wait. All right, let's see. Another update. Okay, so they're getting into text now. This is still, of course, prosecution with their closing remarks to the jurors. Okay, so Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic said that when Cassie Ventura filed her lawsuit in November 2023, it bore a harrowing resemblance to what Jane was experiencing. Jane had already been saying the same thing for months. Slavic told the jury that texts Jane sent Sean Diddy Combs after the lawsuit spoke volumes. She read excerpts, including, "I feel like I'm reading my own sexual trauma," and "This was sexual exploitation that you framed as love for your sick fetishes." Slavic played part of a phone call between Combs and Jane after the lawsuit, including a moment when Combs interrupts Jane. Slavic said the recording shows Combs presented her with a false narrative of the events, but when his gaslighting didn't work, he cut Jane off as soon as she started telling the truth. Jane refused to see Combs for several months after the lawsuit, Slavic said. Oh boy, I can't believe that. Honestly, I mean, this is me. I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, they're doing, the prosecution is going back to the beginning of the trial and all these things that were brought out during these people's testimony, which was, domestic violence, how controlling he was as a boyfriend, how he slept with his assistant, how he had his assistants arrange these exotic menage a trois nights that he wanted, how him and Cassie were in cahoots. I mean, as long as they were together, like, of course anyway. So so they just kind of recapping everything that we've already heard in the courtroom. So we're not seeing anything surprising during these closing arguments. We're hearing the same things that they've been trying to prove for this whole trial. So, but again, these things that they have been trying to prove and that have come out and that people have testified to, we know that um, we know that he's a bad boyfriend. We know that he cheats. We know that he sleeps with his assistants, which I'm sure most people do. We know that he was an abuser, physically abuser, mental abuser. We know that he needs help with that. We don't condone that. We know that So these things, they're just kind of recapping. But the recapping, usually when you're doing closing arguments, your closing has to be powerful. Like like, this is the backup. This is the final impression on the jurors. And this final impression, of course, we're not in the courtroom, but the final impression that we're seeing is just not it. It's just not. Because, like I said, they're pointing out things that we've already heard and that we already know. And we haven't heard the federal yet. We haven't heard the federal yet. So that is what it is. That's just that. Let me get my charger. See. Okay. All right. Charging going on. Well, uh-oh. Hold on. Fixed. Okay, good. Okay. All right, let's see where we were. All right. So that's what's going on. So that's what the prosecution is doing to me so far. They're just kind of recapping on things that we've heard that we already know of. So nothing big, nothing. I don't see the power in this closing so far. Now I'm just going off the facts. So this is not my opinion. This is the facts. We don't. What's so powerful about this closing? Your closing is supposed to be bam, powerful. Last impression before those jurors go in there and deliberate. So I haven't seen it. So honestly, I still feel even after this closing so far, I still feel the same way that I felt. I feel like Puffy is not going to be found guilty. I just don't. All right, so that's my take. Anybody else have anything to say before we take our own break? Anybody have anything else they want to add before we take a break? And what we'll do is we're going to take our own break and then we'll strike up another live, say in maybe an hour, unless something crazy happens. If something crazy happens, we're going to strike up a live. But otherwise, we're going to wait, give it time because it looks like prosecution is, like I said, just going over stuff that they tried to prove throughout the trial. Nothing juicy, nothing surprising, other than the freak offs and just stuff. So we're gonna strike up another live probably in about an hour, maybe a little over an hour, maybe, and then we'll see what happens from there. Okay, here's another update before we go. Let's see. Okay, Combs knew exactly what he was doing. Okay, so they're quoted saying the defendant's conduct had one purpose, to get Jane to agree to do hotel nights. And because the defendant knew exactly what he was doing, this was, oh my goodness. So this is their sex trafficking because to get Jane to agree to do hotel nights. So if you and your girlfriend, if you all are into menage a trois, right? Whether you want to call them freak offs, hotel nights, whatever you want to call them, and you guys get someone to come in and join your little menage a trois, so that's sex trafficking. See what I'm saying? Woo! Government, y'all have to come better than this. Better than this. This is ridiculous. This reminds me, I'm telling you, this is like Fannie Willis with the YSL case. Oh my goodness. She reached really hard with nothing. So they reached way over. They tried to bring him down for life with no evidence of these huge charges. These are some serious huge charges. Oh my goodness. Wow. This is crazy. It's crazy. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take our break. Um, thank you all so much for those of you who joined. I am April Showers, and we will be back in about a little over an hour. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Peace, everybody.